This NFL Week 13 injury news and updates and player prop targets edition of the Propcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MACHINE to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
And taking a shot to ground downfield. He makes the catch, and he gets in for the touchdown. The catch is made by Calvin Ridley. Wilson, good as he throws deep downfield. It's going to be caught.
Welcome, everyone, to the Propcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. NFL Week 13 on the horizon. Of course, it is Thanksgiving week. 3 games on Thursday. We got a nice one on Friday. And, of course, the Sunday schedule. And, of course, Monday Night Football to wrap up Week 13. But definitely looking forward to it. A lot of injury news and updates to get into for Week 13. Guys that are out, guys coming in. You guys know how we do it here. But it's not about me on this show. No, I bring in the expert every single week. Takes his time out to join me here on the Propcast. You guys know him as the D-Gen Doc himself, Sebastian Fearon. Sebastian, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, how we doing? We're in a nice little holiday week here, getting amped up. You know, everyone's getting ready to see family, but let's be honest, we're all ready for a wonderful week of football. We've got a shit ton of really good football coming up, so very excited to talk ball with you today.
Yep, 100%, my man. Should be a fun week of football, of course, and spending time with friends, family. Like you mentioned, the holiday season officially here with Thanksgiving this week, so should be a lot of fun here. But Sebastian, let's not waste any time, man. We'll get to some chit-chat at the end of the episode. Let's take care of business first. Let's start here with Thursday, obviously Thanksgiving Day, football on all day. Got your Giants in action as well. We'll get to that momentarily. But to lead it off on Thursday, we've got the Chicago Bears. They are in Detroit to take on the Lions. Looking at the line for this game, let me get back to my odds page here. We've got odds courtesy of mybookie.ag. Lions 10-point home favorite here with a total of 48.5. Sebastian, what are we looking at for injuries between the Bears and the Lions?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have the most information on these Thursday, Friday games. So we'll definitely front load those guys, spend the most of the time there. So Chicago coming in fairly healthy. Left guard Ryan Bates, who it looks like he's moved above Tevin Jenkins, at least in the depth chart on ESPN. But concussion, limited practice, so he's got a chance. We'll see if they practice tomorrow, if he's going to do a full practice. It's interesting to see what these teams are doing with all this, with Thursday, 3 games on Thursday, how they're preparing for the week. But obviously, you'd like to see him have a full practice to really have a shot there. And then starting safety, Elijah Hicks. I mean, Jaquan Brisker has been on IR, so he's had to step in, kind of really. Even though he's starting right now, he's really a safety number 2, but he's not practiced at all this week with an ankle injury. So we could be looking at Jonathan Owens or something there, but that would be their number 3 safety for the Bears. Wow. So a little bit, but they are the healthier team coming in, actually. If we look at the Detroit side, you got left tackle Taylor Decker, who had to leave the game. He has not practiced these last 2 days with a knee and ankle. Now, offensive linemen, I don't like to rule them out earlier. They tend to be a little bit tougher and kind of take it right up to the whistle there. They do have Dan Skipper, who is always kind of coming in as that 6th offensive lineman. So he's serviceable, definitely a better backup option than most teams have. And then other guy who's not practicing, Carlton Davis did not practice today. He was kind of banged up with a knee and thumb injury. That would be a big one. The plus side is they should be getting back Terry and Arnold, who practiced in full with the groin injury. So, they've had Emmanuel Mosley come back, and then the rookies went out, and they're kind of shuffling back there. But it seems like they're kind of adding one and subtracting one there. And then, someone who's probably already ruled out, wide receiver Khalif Raymond dealing with a foot. Campbell said that it was going to be multiple weeks probably here. But the big ones, and the good news comes with the big ones. David Montgomery, banged up, kind of made a business decision. That game was kind of in hand. He was back on the sidelines with his helmet. He did not return, but he said he's feeling good. He had a limited practice today. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, who did finish the game, limited practice today after both those guys did not practice yesterday. Definitely I've talked about it, but if a guy finishes the game and there was no significant injury, you very much expect them to play that next week. I mean, obviously Montgomery is the kind of exception to the rule here as far as, he didn't finish the game, but it sounded like he could have. It was just kind of unnecessary. You got Jahmyr Gibbs to handle the load. So I do expect Monty and Amon-Ra to play, but Decker, Carlton Davis, and Khalifa Raymond not as optimistic.
Yeah, I think those were the big question marks coming in for the Detroit Lions was going to be David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown here. But yeah, it looks like I 100% agree with you. I mean, you're the expert, but I would expect those two guys to be out there in this game for the Detroit Lions. Let's move it along here to the next game on the schedule. You know what? Actually, before I do that, let me remind everybody, hey, we talked about it. It's Thanksgiving week, and we're running a massive merch sale over at the Sports Gambling Podcast merch store from Thursday through Sunday of this week. Everything on the merch store is 25% off with promo code Black Friday. That's right, 25% off of everything. Give it to the merch store. Got some great novelty items, of course, shirts, hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, all the good stuff there. Looking for any specific things for a DGen in your life, hey, make sure you go over there, Sports Gambling Podcast merch store. Make sure you use that promo code Black Friday from Thursday through Sunday. You'll get 25% off of everything in the merch store there. Good to see our guy Andrew Robb in the chat here. Sebastian is asking, any reason I shouldn't be taking the Sun God in the first round of underdog drafts for the Thanksgiving Day slate?
No, I don't see any reason. I think he's gonna, like I talked about, he finished the game. He should be good to go. It's a short week. I'm not surprised that, he didn't practice on Monday. Campbell already said he feels good about him being out there. And we'll see with the, Bears secondary has been pretty decent, but with them potentially having that safety number 3, I think there's some susceptibility there. And he's been a touchdown machine, let's be honest. So I would co-sign that.
All right, let's move it along here to the annual tradition game, at least the Dallas Cowboys on our screens hosting the New York Giants in this matchup. Maybe some question marks, honestly, coming in for both teams at the quarterback position here, Sebastian, but I'll let you get into it. Your Giants taking on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, look, quick shout out to Jake in the merch store. Like, even if your team sucks ass like the Giants, you can still wear a cool shirt. They will still have your team regardless how bad they are. So check that out. But look, for the Giants side, Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. Tommy, please get the fuck off my team. He's dealing with a forearm injury to his throwing arm there. He woke up and was sore. He wasn't on the injury report until today, limited practice, not 100%. Not good news. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't get this team anymore. I mean, why would you bring in Drew Lock if you're not going to use him? They're both going to suck. But so I would say out of both these quarterbacks, Cooper Rush dealing with a knee injury, he had a much more positive update saying he feels good. He should be good to go. So I'm confidently can say Cooper Rush will be there. Not quite sure about the Giants. We may see Drew Lock or DeVito. I don't know how you throw him out there with any limitations. But we'll see. I mean, that one's going to just run up closer to kind of kick off, and we'll see. I would expect him to be labeled as questionable as a game status there. But we will see how that goes. And then for tight end Theo Johnson, who was a little bit of a no-show last week, dealing with a back injury, limited practice. And then the biggest one, left tackle Jermaine Illuminor, dealing with a quad injury. Now, he said he's going to try to do everything he can to play. He's a tough player. I like this guy a lot, but he just picked up this injury. He's coming like 4 or 5 days off an injury. It's going to be tough for him to go out there and play left tackle position. He doesn't typically play. He's a right tackle with Andrew Thomas going out. We had to figure something out because Azudu is not the guy. But that's the concerning one. I mean, they were already bad. DeVito, 4 sacks, had 4 sacks against him last week, was getting pressured, could not have any time. So if they don't have Illuminor out there, I mean, Micah Parsons, unfortunately, is probably going to have a field day. The other one, Zizo Lojawari on IR. Him and Kayvon Thibodeau just swap places, I guess. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. There's no season complete without him ending up on the IR. As good as he's looked, Kayvon's back, so that kind of helps that. So on the Cowboys side, talked about Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
He should be good to go. Zach Martin, he did not practice yesterday. Didn't get a practice status on him today. I know that came out recently. So we'll see there because was not able to play last week. Jake Ferguson, a guy who did not practice again today. With a concussion, it's hard to kind of have a limited and full practice in one day. So he's basically ruled out, which means Luke Schoonmaker or Brevin Spanford. Schoonmaker's had 50-plus yards in the past 2 weeks. He did have a touchdown last week as well. I think I grabbed him at like plus 340, plus 350. His receiving line is not out yet. Keeping that one close to the vest, I guess the books are, at least over on DK. But yeah, I think Schoonmaker is a guy you can look at. And also Eric Kendricks is one to look out for. Their defensive leader. He did not practice on Monday. So, both these teams a little bit banged up. For the Giants, it's that left tackle position that's really concerning when we talk about, the props markets, whether you want to go Parsons or one of the other guys or team sacks. And then for the Cowboys, it's, who fills in at tight end over on that side of the ball. Yeah,
I think we talked about Luke Schoonmaker last week if Ferguson was going to be out. And you mentioned it, right? He had a great week again. I definitely played him. Yeah, I think it was the first catch of the game. He had 24 yards for the Dallas Cowboys and got up and over his projection there as well. So, again, like if Jake Ferguson is not able to go, I'm going to go right back to him in this game here as well. I know it's not really injury related, but I think Malik Neighbors has a big week here as well, even if it is Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock out there. I mean, we've seen this a lot where wide receivers are complaining about not getting the football. And I think Brian Dable acknowledged that, so I think that he'll be involved early and often. Let's not forget earlier this season, Sebastian, 12 receptions on 15 targets, 115 yards from Malik Neighbors in that game against the Cowboys, and I'm not sold on that secondary for this Cowboys team. So those are the two guys I would be looking at in this game, like we mentioned, Luke Schoonmaker and then also Malik Neighbors. I know it's not injury related, but I think that's a guy. That number opened up at 53.5. It's all the way up to 62.5. I will not be surprised if he has triple digits again in this game against the Cowboys here. So I think I'm really, really high on Malik Neighbors this week for the New York Giants. Got anything else for Giants Cowboys?
No, I love it. For my mental health, I hope it happens, man. On the
I think if it is Drew Lock out there, I think he can have a pretty decent game for this Giants team. So I will definitely. I'll say it. I'm gonna put. We don't bet on the Cowgirls. That's a company policy here, but I feel pretty good about the Giants this week. I'll say that much.
That makes one of us, brother.
All right, let's get over to the last game on Thursday. The nightcap. It will be the Miami Dolphins. They are in Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. This was going to be a really good one as well. Both teams vying for playoff spots. Dolphins making a little bit of run here. They're catching 3.5 points here in Lambeau Field against the Packers. Total of 47 here. Sebastian, what are we looking at for Dolphins Packers?
Yeah, man. Dolphins, like you said, they kind of picked themselves off the mat. They look to be very dead. I have a couple unders on them and to miss the playoffs. So I need them to chill out a little bit. But look, they're both coming in with some significant injuries. Let's talk about for Miami, probably one we have most confidence on. Kendall Fuller is likely going to be out again. He picked up a concussion 2 weeks ago, and he has not practiced since. Sometimes you see this with these concussions. Never really a good sign, obviously, if he's not been able to practice. Look, concussions are the mystery of the world right now, not just medically. It's tough to figure out what's all going on there. So the symptoms are very variable. So for a guy to be out like this, not being able to practice, it's definitely not unheard of. It is concerning. Sometimes that post-concussive syndromes that you can kind of have there. So I expect Kendall Fuller to be out and then be on a backup. And that secondary gets pretty thin once a couple of those guys go out. So if they took an injury last week and it was very, very apparent. I think I can't forget who was going against them, but they started to really target that guy. And then left tackle Teron Armstead dealing with a knee injury. He did not practice again, but the offensive linemen, they're tough. You can't really rule them out too early. He kind of did not practice much last week and was able to try to give it a go. So we'll see on Armstead there. And then Anthony Walker, the linebacker who stepped up for them, they've kind of been very turnover heavy, or having a lot of turnover at the linebacker position. I expect him to be out with a hamstring injury. For the Packers side of the ball, Romeo Dubs, however you want to say it, I took a shot last week and he's 2 straight not practices in a concussion protocol, so would expect him to be out. He was going to be very hard for him to clear in 3 days, 4 days anyway, so there's no surprise there. Now, Zaire Alexander also did not practice again, 2 straight DNPs this week. The only good thing is, like, he's been out of the lineup so much, the Packers kind of know how to play and win without him there. So I think they've got plenty of practice there. We'll see. I'd say he's squarely doubtful at this point. And then Xavier McKinney did not practice today for a personal reason. Already said he's going to be good to go for the game. No real concerns there. So really, Alexander doubtful, Dobbs likely out. Fuller on the other side is going to be out. And then Teron Armstead and Anthony Walker squarely doubtful for this week.
All right. Before we continue the conversation for NFL Week 13, let me tell everyone about our good old friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Hey, look, Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NASCAR, NBA, and much more. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. So sign up with promo code MACHINE to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you guys use that promo code MACHINE. All right, Sebastian, let's keep it rolling here, my man. We'll get over to the Black Friday game, which will be between the 2 AFC West teams. The Las Vegas Raiders, they are going to be in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in this game. Chiefs are currently a big favorite in this game by 12 points, total of 42.5 here. Sebastian, what are we looking at for Raiders and Chiefs?
Yeah, another big spread for this game, which is always interesting because they're always closer than you would imagine. They did famously beat the Chiefs last year. I think it was around Christmas time or something like that. But look, the guy who started that game was Aiden O'Connell. This is going to be the guy who's starting this game as well. So Gardner Minshew, fractured clavicle, out for the season. And perfect time to come off IR, Aiden O'Connell, from his thumb surgery. He beat Kansas City, though, with 62 yards passing. So I don't know how sustainable that game plan is. We'll see. But that rushing department has taken a hit as well. I mean, Zamir White, the no-show he did not practice again today after not playing at all, or practicing and playing last week. Alexander Mattison, though, did get a limited practice in today with his ankle injury. So, obviously he's the guy who's looking a little bit more optimistic as opposed to White. Amir Abdullah, we talked about him last week. He came through with a touchdown. He kind of had some things out of the backfield, 8 carries, 6 targets. So he was the workhorse when those guys were out. So we'll kind of see. Madison's the one you want to monitor as far as is he going to get back, because obviously they'll probably split carries there for that side. And then for the Chiefs side, it looks like we finally are getting the week of both Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. We're going to see how they split these carries. We talked about it last week, talked about Hunt a little bit because I didn't think Pacheco was going to quite make it back. Ultimately, that was the case, even though Hunt didn't have the best day against the Panthers team that I don't know where that came from. But kicker Spencer Schrader out. Harrison Butker's on the IR with meniscus. Spencer Schrader comes in, kicks pretty well, kicks a game-winning field goal, whatever. He's got a hamstring injury. He's not practicing. So now they've signed Matthew Wright off the street. So, I know kickers have came in and done well, but now we're on our third kicker here. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see. The Chiefs have played everybody close this year. So if this comes down to a field goal or two, we'll see if he's able to do it up there in Kansas City, where I'm assuming there'll be some weather.
Yeah, and I think that Patrick Mahomes came out after the win against the Carolina Panthers and just said in so many words that he wants to be part of some blowouts. He's getting, I don't want to say it's getting taxing for him because we know what type of player Patrick Mahomes is, but he just said it'll be nice to not be having to stress or be a little bit more chill on the sidelines, to not having to worry about coming in and trying to save the day every single time. But maybe might be the week with all the injuries that the Raiders are dealing with, especially at the quarterback. I'll mention this for Travis Kelce, that he needs one more receiving touchdown to set the franchise record, and what better way to do it here than on Friday at home against a division rival that's been talking all that crap in training camp with the whole Kermit the Frog situation and the Muppet and the whatever you want to call it. I know they already played each other earlier this season, but I think there's a good opportunity for Patrick Mahomes to go off again. So that's one I did already bet, was Travis Kelce around plus 120, plus 125 for any time touchdown. You're right. I'll be curious to see what the splits look like for Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt coming into this game. I think they probably ease Pacheco's way back, and you want him to have him healthy for sure. not only for down the stretch, but of course in the playoffs there as well for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So I will see. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Let's get over to the Sunday games. We'll go over to the first game on the board here. Let's go over to where do we want to go? Let's go Texans and Jaguars. AFC South matchup here between the Texans and the Jaguars. Texans are a 5-point road favorite here with a total of 43.5 in this game here, Sebastian. What are we looking for Texans and Jags?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I mean, that's a great nugget on the Travis Kelce thing. I know I wrote that down. I hope the audience is also writing that down, because this is a great time in the week, again, to just, hey, let's see what we wanted to. As soon as that number opens, you can get after it, because like we always talk about, the price is only going to get worse. All right, for the Houston and Jacksonville game, really just 2 injuries, one on each side. For the Texans, Jalen Petrie dealing with a pec injury. He was awaiting an MRI. It looks like it's a partial tear, so he's going to be out probably close to 4 to 8 weeks, about 2 to 3 months, or 1 to 2 months is typically what we see. It's likely a grade 2. So basically, he's going to be out for almost the rest of the regular season. He's probably going to look into return for the playoff time. So better news, because they were thinking it could be season ending. So, not the worst case scenario, but obviously he'll be out for some time. And then Trevor Lawrence, he was supposed to practice yesterday for the first time coming off the bye. He's missed the past 2 weeks with that non-throwing shoulder injury. They said it's an AC sprain, your acromioclavicular joint, connects your shoulder and your clavicle. This is one where typically there's 6 grades, and depending on the grade, some of them require surgery, some of them do not. Typically that grade 3 is where you kind of have some questions about, like 50-50. Anthony Richardson, was shut down last season to fix that injury. Now that was to his throwing shoulder. This is to your non-throwing shoulder. So for a sense, it's a little bit more cosmetic, and then it becomes really functionality. Keenan Allen is kind of the famous one that still, if you look at pictures of him, his shoulders like all the way up here still. He just did not get it fixed, because you can kind of work your way through it. So I'm curious to see what they do. I honestly was surprised that he was going to give it a go, because this is a lost season. So we'll see. Still kind of nothing definitive either way. But if practice did go well, then it looks like he's trying to play this week. So that would be the biggest thing. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. Although I don't think there's a big difference as most people, there is still a difference.
Yeah. Again, I know we're talking about the Texans off air, but that defense has just not looked, especially the secondary, has not been playing very well. And now to have Jalen Petrie possibly not play, I think that we'll definitely keep an eye on that one for sure. All right, let's keep it rolling here. We'll get over to the next game on the Sunday schedule here. Let me get back to my odds board. We'll go over to the Tennessee Titans. They are going to be in Washington, the nation's capital, to take on the Commanders. Commanders are currently laying 5.5 points in this game with a total of 44.5 here, Sebastian. What are we looking for Titans and Commanders?
Yeah, just real quick, a name I'll throw out there is Tank Bigsby as a guy potentially in that last game, just because Petrie plays down in the box a lot. He was getting a lot of tackles this season. So I don't know if Jimmy Ward's going to be able to step in and have that same role. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of have those run fits, that first game without Petrie. But let's move on to Tennessee versus Washington. Really the biggest thing is the Washington running back room. Austin Eckler, looked like he took a really hard shot on the kickoff or the kick return. Definitely a scary scene. He was kind of almost knocked out. Hard to imagine. Again, the NFL concussion protocol seems to change throughout the year. Beginning of the season, it's like absolutely no one's clearing in a week. Then it's like, depends, right? So we'll see where it's at this week, but I would still call him doubtful. And then Brian Robinson, although the injury is not as bad as it looked, he said on a radio station today, no high ankle sprain, no type of fracture or anything like that. But he is likely dealing with a moderate grade 2 low ankle sprain, which typically takes about 2 to 4 weeks to fully recover. So there is a good chance they both miss. I know I just talked about some waiver wire targets on my show a little bit earlier, or put it out. But Jeremy McNichols is a guy who you could potentially want to look for. He's a guy who in week 4, when he kind of had that workhorse load, he had 2 touchdowns, I think 40 yards rushing. So somebody who's a bit capable of carrying the load there. against Tennessee, whose defense, they're a bit shaky. They've had a lot of injuries. So some opportunities there for the Washington backfield.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Let's get over to the Arizona Cardinals. They are in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Vikings laying 3.5 points in this game with a total of 45. What are we looking at for Cardinals and Vikings?
Yeah, really just the one that I want to talk about. It's linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. placed in the IR today. He's one of their best players. They also have, his name is evading me. They have a really good linebacker that's been on the IR with a turf toe or plantar fascia injury. Let's see if he's back really quick. Just want to check that depth chart. So they've also, okay, Blake Cashman is back. So that's some good news there. So Cashman's back, but Ivan Pace now, his running mate, is going to be on the IR. So, you get one back and you lose one. Never a good thing for that defense. That's been playing fairly well. They've been having to keep up, prop up Sam Darnold and probably in some sticky situations there. So that is a loss for that defense. That's really the biggest injury for this game.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. We'll go over to the on screen keeps going down. All right, let's go Chargers, Falcons. Falcons currently catching 2.5 points here at home against the Chargers, total of 48 here, Sebastian. Chargers, Falcons, what are we looking at?
Yeah, really just the biggest one is J.K. Dobbins. Let's see where he is at, right? We haven't heard anything. Obviously, in that game, he went down with an awkward tackle, looked like to be a knee injury. He came back with a knee brace, to the sidelines. He was apparently running on the sidelines to encourage, hey, training staff, let me back in the game. Clearly, they didn't really want to abide. They took him to the locker room. He took extended time in the locker room. Clearly, they were running some type of test. They ultimately ruled him out. The more we don't hear about J.K. Dobbins, the less optimistic I become, right?
Okay.
Look, I don't think it's anything season ending because he was able to kind of run on the sidelines after he was, not any crutches or anything after the game, but it's something, right? I mean, they really haven't said much. I don't love when they keep it so close to the vest. Obviously, are they getting second opinions or what's going on here? Is this a meniscus type injury? Is it a ligamentous type thing? So we'll see. I'm not expecting, ruled out for the season, but the more time that goes on without us really getting a concrete answer, the more I'm thinking him missing potentially, 2 to 4 weeks, something in that range. So we'll see there. The injury was very awkward, so it's a little bit hard. There wasn't a clear mechanism, some people saying MCL, meniscus, things like that. I can see it, but that's one of those where, his leg got caught up and there's some possibilities there. So I don't like to guess too much in that regard, but the fact that it's been radio silence is not what I want to hear, or is for lack of however the hell you say that. Don't want to hear, whatever.
All right, yeah. Look, it'll probably be the Gus Edwards show then with the lack of news. I guess we can say we have about J.K. Dobbins at this juncture of the week, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on for this game between the Chargers and the Falcons. Let's keep it rolling here. Let's go over to the Colts and the Patriots. Patriots currently catching 2.5 points at home against the Indianapolis Colts with a total of 42.5 here, Sebastian. Anything for Colts and Patriots?
Yeah, I would also just quickly mention Hassan Haskins is let's see what they price him at.
Yeah.
Because he's Harbaugh's guy from Michigan, so him and Edwards are kind of the same back, so it's going to be interesting to see what that would look like. But yeah, just kind of shop around. If it's worth something crazy, I would take the sprinkle on it. All right, Josh Downs really is the only one I want to talk about here. Landed hard on his shoulder, and Ian Rappaport reported that he was going to be out week to week. Right. So he's going to be out multiple weeks there. So, obviously week to week injury is not as good as day to day. So it's likely dealing with some type of higher grade AC sprain. So 2 to 4 weeks is kind of what I would be expecting for Josh Downs. Obviously, Alec Pierce is a guy that I like whenever Anthony Richardson is in the game. I know he did hit his over receiving yards very early on in that game and then didn't do a whole ton. Because of penalties or just missed throws, that Colts offense, which I thought had a decent matchup with some guys banged up on the Detroit defense, didn't come through. But New England's not the same quality defense. So if one of those guys, whether it's Alec Pierce or if you're an A.D. Mitchell guy, Somebody's going to have to step up. Michael Pittman's been dealing with the back injury all year. So who's going to be the guy?
Yeah, Alec Pierce has been one of those guys that has been a big downfield threat for this Colts team. And just take a look at his last 3 weeks or last 3 games that he's played in. Long receptions of 32, 39, 39. Last week, he had that lone catch of 39 yards. But part of that, 74 receiving yards, 81 receiving yards, 41 against the Minnesota Vikings there. So he should be a viable candidate. It seems more than like Sebastian mentioned, that Josh Downs will be out for this game for the Indianapolis Colts. All right, Sebastian, before we continue the conversation here for the remaining games on the Week 13 schedule, let me tell everyone about our good old friends over at mybookie.ag. You know what? We actually started out, did SGPN with mybookie.ag, and guess what? We're back. We've been running with mybookie.ag for years. Check out their new and improved website, great on mobile, plus props for every game in the live dealer casino. They even have early cash out options available there as well. Mention the Travis Kelce anytime touchdown bet that I'm going to be on over at mybookie.ag. So head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Again, that's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Plus, they'll throw in a $10 casino chip as well. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's prop partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered back sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model. You can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard or have Rhythm build a model for you. And now you can track your props in the Rhythm app as well. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. Rhythm has it all. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All righty, let's keep it rolling here. Next game we want to get to is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are going to be visiting the Carolina Panthers. Panthers fresh off of their cover, I should say, against the Kansas City Chiefs. Almost pulled it out there, but not quite. Didn't quite get there. But they are catching 6 points here at home against the division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Totals at 46.5 in this game. Sebastian, what are we looking at for Bucks Panthers?
Yeah, we'll start with the Panthers there. Tight end Jatavian Sanders actually rushed to a local hospital with a neck injury. Neck injury is always scary. It can either be kind of a stereotype, not too big of a deal, or something potentially life-threatening. So always want to be cautious there. Thankfully, he was released from the hospital only shortly after. He is still getting evaluated. Most of these guys do miss time. Some even went up on the IR. So I would not expect him this week after that scary of an injury. I don't know many team docs, many training staffs are going to be able to clear him or feel comfortable clearing him less than a week after an injury like that. And then on the other side, safety Jordan Whitehead, they thought he tore his pec and was going to be out for the season, but he also has a chance to return if the Bucs make the playoff, telling me it's a grade 2 pec injury, about 6 to 8 weeks, similar to Jalen Petrie there as well. So not out for the season, but definitely out for the foreseeable future. We'll see if the Bucs are able to make a postseason run and if that is relevant. For this game, I mean, look, Bryce Young looks competent. So I think a guy like Xavier Legette, or if you want to, go the Coker route or whatever you may want to be, I personally like Legette as the explosive guy, the guy they spent some draft capital on, even a guy like Adam Thielen. But this Bucs secondary has been pretty bad. Really bad. So they did get Jamel Dean back, but they are going to be missing Whitehead, in the back end there. So I think it's a good opportunity for Bryce Young. Let's see if he looks competent again. I mean, if he could do it against the Chiefs, he could damn sure do it against the Bucs.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Let's get over to the Battle of the Birds here. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens laying 3 points in this game with a total of 50.5, and two teams that are just trending in the upwards direction. This should be a good one here between the Eagles and the Ravens. But as far as injury, Sebastian, what are we looking at?
Yeah, really should be a good one there. So for the Philadelphia side, they got dealt some pretty serious blows there. Defensive end Brandon Graham, 36-year-old, who was playing really well. He had a sack last week. He tore his triceps. He's out for the season. So that's a big loss. I mean, Bryce Huff, even though he wasn't super productive, already on the IR. So Josh Sweat is going to be really the lone pass rusher. I know Nolan Smith Jr. is coming along pretty well. He's doing okay, but I don't know if he's an every down pass rusher. So they've got some questions now on the end. And then quarterback Darius Slay, dealing with a concussion. He's in protocol status. So again, we've talked concussions. I would say he's pretty much doubtful for this point. So I think from that standpoint, I mean, that defense, that's looked really good. When Slay went out of the game and Isaiah Rodgers came in, they targeted him. Like, I almost felt bad for Rodgers, right? They were just like going after him like, anybody's business. So if Slay misses, I mean, that's a big injury. And so is Brandon Graham, who was providing some decent reps there. I'd say Slay's the bigger issue there because that back end is just going to be so exposed. And then, on the Baltimore side, we talked about Roquan Smith last week. We hit on the Herbert rushing yards. Disley had a nice game. And with a hamstring injury, he's got an okay shot to be this week, but I say at least 2 weeks. I feel comfortable. Sometimes they come back in one. So we'll see. I mean, his status is in question too. And in the same token, I mean, Hurts has been running the ball well. Obviously, Saquon, and whether Saquon out of the backfield or if you want to go, the Dallas Goedert route, that's some options there to attack this team. So, I like whether it be Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman with Slay potentially being out. And then I kind of like, on the flip side, Hurts rushing or Saquon out of the backfield, as painful as that is to say.
I was like, how does those words taste coming out of your mouth? But you should be mad at the front office more than anything about Saquon. But yeah, I think Dallas Goedert is probably the angle in this game here. The Ravens have just been atrocious against the tight end position all season long. Excuse me, the Chiefs. And I think the Bucks are the other team, so I'll double check it. But I know Ravens for sure because I've been fading I've been betting on opposing tight ends to go over their yardage against the Ravens. I think Will Disley had another good week against the Ravens on Monday Night Football there. So yeah, it's gonna be a good test for Saquon going up against this rush defense of the Baltimore Ravens. All right, Sebastian, got 2 games left here. Let's get over to the Sunday Night Football game. The San Francisco 49ers, they are in Orchard Park to take on the Buffalo Bills. Bills are laying a touchdown in this game with a total of 44.5, and very, very surprised to see what transpired for the Niners last week here. But what's the status on the Niners side for this game?
Yeah, I mean, your questions are Brock Purdy and Trent Williams, right, and Nick Bosa as well. But it's kind of wait and see mode right now. They are pretty optimistic from Purdy's standpoint. That's why they didn't really jump and kind of grab anybody. They are expecting him to be back relatively soon. As soon as this week. He was able to practice some last week, so I think he does have a good shot to return. As far as Bosa and Williams, they're a little bit more up in the air. I think Bosa has been able to play through some stuff, so we'll see. But I would say those guys are more squarely questionable. I'd give Purdy the kind of probable tag there. And the Buffalo Bills are coming off a bye, so they should be relatively healthy. But we'll see if Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman can come back. These are guys who have missed a week at least. Coleman missed 2 with a wrist injury. So we'll see if those guys can return. We'll have to kind of wait and see on these, with it only being Tuesday and that game being on Sunday night.
All right, let's get over to Monday Night Football. The Cleveland Browns, they are in the Mile High City to take on the Broncos. Broncos laying 5.5 points in this game with a total of 42. Sebastian, what are we looking at for Browns and Broncos?
Yeah, just a couple here as well. So Cedric Tillman in that kind of snow globe game, he was in concussion protocol. Now, the benefit that he has in kind of a unique situation is he played on Thursday night and he doesn't play until Monday. So he kind of gets extra days on both sides to be able to clear protocol there. So I would almost call him, having closer to a 50% chance to be able to clear, because he's essentially got a week and a half as opposed to just a week. So good news for him. Hopefully we'll see. Again, concussion's very variable, so you'll just have to wait and see on the practice status. They probably won't practice until Thursday. And then quarterback Riley Moss, the really, really impressive rookie. Good news here. Picked up a knee injury. Looks to be a mild MCL sprain. They're about a 1 to 2 week injury. Best case scenario, he is able to play next week with a little bit of a brace. We'll see if they want to push it. So that's one to monitor. But there's a good shot that both Riley Moss for the Broncos and Cedric Tillman for the Browns are able to play next week.
All right, there it is. Week 13 injury news and updates, along with the player props targets we're looking at for this week. Should be a lot of great matchups starting on Thanksgiving Day, of course. Get that bonus game on Friday, and then, of course, a full schedule on the Sunday card as well. So this should be a lot of fun there. But this was another great episode A lot of injuries that do transpire, guys coming in, guys start to say guys coming back, guys are going to be out. So I think we've done a fairly great job of finding those values in the player prop market. We're not going to have something for every single game, but again, the ones that we at least have identified, I'm very, very confident we have been very, very profitable in. Sebastian, anything else you want to mention, my man, before we get out of here?
No, hey, look, we're thankful for all you guys listening, checking in, the audience, as always, letting us do what we want to do there. So we appreciate you. And if you want to show your gratitude and appreciation, that like and subscribe button are very easy to click. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. Again, we're trying to give you this information as early as possible because as soon as those books open and you're ready to tail us, I would press that button right away.
Yeah, 200%. Again, hope you're writing this stuff down because once those numbers are released by the books, sometimes they're a little bit cowardly to release those props because they're scared. I know that. But yeah, again, you got to attack it as soon as those props drop. So hopefully you guys been able to do that. Make sure you guys follow Sebastian over on the Twitter machine at the DGen Dog. Also, you guys make sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. To get a bit, not a bit, but a lot more in depth on all the injuries, on the fantasy stuff, and props as well. So make sure you guys check out Sebastian over on the DGen Docs on YouTube. You can follow me there as well on Twitter at SportsNerd824. And like Sebastian said, make sure you guys like and subscribe wherever you are watching and listening to this podcast. All right, we'll be back next week for NFL Week 14. Talking about some more injuries, news, and updates. Enjoy Thanksgiving with your loved ones. Hopefully, it is a profitable week. Hopefully, we do find a way to put some more money in your pockets. But till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and always remember to let it ride.